Again, I want to thank everybody for coming. It's a very, 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 very glorious day to have a brother here with us, Dr. Kaba. It's important for us to understand that brothers like himself gave his life for us. He's put his life on the line. He's researched countless hours to try to find a cure for us as African descent people in this country. Not just here in Pittsburgh, but the whole world. As the elder said, we're in trouble right now. We're at war. We have an external enemy, we have an internal enemy. Right? Myself, the last 8 years of my life, I've been teaching young brothers knowledge of self, the importance of learning who they are. I'm only one small piece. Dr. Kaba is only one small piece of the Creator's plan. We have to all understand that. We're here today to talk about the youth. And this is our focus. Because the youth is the future. If we do not save their lives, we are headed to a place we'll probably never recover from. Now, as a brother who came up in these streets in Wilkinsburg, I understand what's going on out here, clearly. We got this thugism thing. We got this haterism thing. We got this niggerism thing going on right now. It's epidemic proportions. What we need to do is we need to understand that we are family. Stop hating on each other because you're marching and I don't march. Stop hating on each other because I write books and you don't.
Exactly.
I don't think I'm smarter than anybody. We are all in the same position. No matter where you live, how much money you have, what kind of car you drive. We are all in the same position. Let's wake up and understand that. The lives of brothers like this and the lives of the brother in the back, Dr. Africa, show us clearly that there are those that are fighting back for us, that care about us, that want to see us better. They know the situation is very, very serious. We're in jeopardy of losing our youth. All across the country, in certain situations, we got 50% dropout rates. They're dropping out of school. We got out of wedlock rates that are off the charts. The prison industrial system is now privatized. We got companies like Disney World who are making money off our pain every single day. Now, I've been in prison. I know what it's like. It's hell. And we got a lot of brothers in there who are suffering. We got a lot of brothers in the street who believe they're free, who are really in jail in their mind.
Sisters too.
Sisters too. In a lot of cases, the sisters are getting worse than the young brothers in the school system. And let's be real about that. That's not a patriarchal statement, okay? For you sisters who think that. Misogynistic statement, no it's not. It's the truth. We gotta fight back for these kids. When I started to write my first book, they told me nobody's gonna read that. You wanna have something from a nigga, put it in a book. They ain't gonna pay attention to you, Brother Steve. Hey. But I did it anyway. Because I knew that brothers like myself, and brothers like Dr. Kaba, is the last line of defense for us right now. We gotta pay attention. This media, this society, that declare war on us in every facet, from health to education. They're putting materials in the plastic that we drink the water out of. There's chemtrails in the sky. They're using manganese to poison us. We are under attack. And all we can do is bicker back and forth with each other. I'm tired of it. As a young brother, I'm tired of it. I want to make that clear right now to everybody in this room. We must wake up and fight for these young brothers and sisters because they are geniuses. Dr. Amos Wilson once said, the failure to understand the black genius causes us to fail them. We talk about them because they wear their pants down. Do we understand why? We talk about the music. We talk about the way the language is. We understand that language is the thing that glues the culture together. As Sheikh on the joke teaches us. We understand that. Listen to the rap music. Check it out. I know it's a bunch of crap. These Gucci mans, these Waka Flockas, grown men with tattoos on their face. We know something's wrong with them, but they still your sons and their daughters. Don't turn your eye, don't turn around from these kids. Because you think you know something. And you read a couple books. And you think you got the cure. Get up off that couch and get out here and help us with these babies. Help us with these babies. Because we're dying out here. Just the other year, my brother was killed by a 19-year-old little boy who walked up on the block and pulled out a gun and started shooting and killed my younger brother. And when he killed my brother, he shot a 2-year-old baby in the head. Now you tell me, why are we accepting this? Why are we allowing this to happen? Just the other day in these hills, a young 1-year-old was killed. Why are we allowing this to happen and not fighting back? We must fight back. We are not a coward race. We are not weak. We fought slavery. We understand the Haitians. We know what they did. We understand the Maroons and what they did. We know that our people fought back. We gotta wake up. This isn't a game anymore. This is not intellectual masturbation. This is not just talking anymore. If we don't talk about it, how are we gonna get better? If we don't strategize, how are we gonna get better? We got Jews with think tanks all across this country. We got people like B.F. Skinner writing books about how to control our minds. Who's going to teach this to the young brothers and sisters? If we don't, the people in this room right now, the so-called conscious folk. The so-called conscious folk, I say that again. Because just because you know some knowledge don't make you a good person. Because you read a couple books don't make you a good person. Get out here and help these young brothers. Now, I'm not here to talk a lot. We're here to hear Dr. Kaba.
Bring on back.
I want everybody to know, we are fighting back. I'm not just talking. We formed a class. Okay? We formed a class, primarily for the youth. Every Saturday, we're building. We are trying to teach these young brothers who they are. Everywhere I go across this country, putting my book out there, I hold my book up, I say, can you tell me who's on the front cover of my book? And none of the brothers and sisters can tell me. I got Shake on the Joke, Alvin Van Sertima, John Henry Clark, and Ida B. Wells on the front cover of my book. And they can't tell me who they are. But they know who Abraham Lincoln is, George Washington. They still teaching us about Christopher Columbus in school. And Alvin Van Sertima put that to bed a long time ago. So let's stop playing games. Let's listen to this brother. In my opinion, this brother's a walking library. He's a genius. He's here to share his light and his spirit with us. He's not here for money or fame. He's been out for 30 years and ain't nobody know who he was. Ain't nobody checked for him for 30 years till Hidden Colors came out. This is a travesty. We gotta wake up. Now I'm gonna read a quick bio about the brother, which is very, very important we understand who he is.
Let him welcome the people.
Okay, we'll get to that. I'm gonna read a quick bio. Dr. Kaba grew up in Manhattan, New York. He's from New York City, brothers and sisters. He graduated from New York University in 1977 with a bachelor's in arts and international politics, with a minor in Caribbean studies. We're listening to a brother who knows what he's talking about. He received master's degrees from Hunter College in New York City. One in 1987 in history, and one in 1988 in education administration. He's a student of great scholars such as John Henry Clark, the same way I'm a student of this brother. Dr. Kaba has worked for 30 plus years for the New York City Board of Education and has been a catalyst in implementing what we call the curriculum of correction, an African-centered curriculum. He was also very influential in designing the educational plan for the ASCAC Institute for Youth from 1986 to 1989. This brother's been teaching youth for years. He breaks down everything from melanin to the origins of man. This brother's a heavy brother. Before we welcome him up, I'd like Brother Shabaka to come up and say a few words about Sankofa. Thank you.
First of all, I want to do this. That's out of respect for everybody in here. Appreciation for everybody. These are my two buddies here, co-founders of Sankofa Village for the Arts. We're a community-based program. Don't be a stranger when you leave out here. Come back, bring your kids. That's all I'm going to say. My buddies want to say something that's cool. But welcome.
Thank you. Welcome to Sankofa Village. One of the things about I want to inspire people to do what we have done. Open up the door. Share your knowledge with somebody else. See, here's the difference. We have the key. So we can stay as long as we need. So please, relax. Come back again. Welcome to the village. Say ditto. Thank you. It's important we understand that of having our own businesses, having our own establishments. Very important. And to support brothers like that. We might not be always able to because of our schedule, our busy lives, but to support the brothers. It's important that we have our own. Without further ado, everybody.
Thank you.
Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Normally I don't need this. The reason why you don't need it, the reason why I never need it, is why I need it now. I talk so loud. But what we just experienced, can everybody hear me? Everybody? You can't hear me? I'm trying to push it. Can somebody turn this microphone?
This is loud as it goes.
This is as loud as it goes? Okay, I'm going to work on it. I'm going to make it happen somehow. The ancestors brought me to Pittsburgh to do something. They're not taking my voice now. What we just experienced. And every time a raffle went off, they said, it's just a minute. When the raffles were over, brother said, now we can get rolling. But I thought we were rolling all along. Because it's about us, it's about you. It's not about me, it's about us. When I come before the community, I realize this. This ain't no concert. I fundamentally am a street soldier. I've been on the street. If you go on Facebook, you see me talking in Harlem in the street. I talk in the same place that Hubert Harrison spoke back in the early 20th century, when brothers and sisters used to get up on the ladder. You saw it in Malcolm X. That's what we used to do. Bobby Seale told us that the way in which the Black Panther Party was formed in the beginning was to introduce 2 Black Studies program into a college in Oakland, California. They glamorized it, they make it exotic with the guns and the fighting. But the Black Panther Party was exactly what the Sankofa Cultural Center does. There's no difference. So I thank my brother Kaba for all the work it took to get me here. I spoke in Cleveland yesterday. We had a big celebration. They're breaking out of February. They have a whole month of celebrations in June. Juneteenth Day, Father's Day. Once we break out of February, all the other 11 months will follow us. February ain't our month. The year is our life. It's not about 1 month of celebration. The only reason why you highlight a month to celebrate is because you spent the other 11 not celebrating. I thank the Sankofa Center for housing us and for when the brother said that we got the keys. Because I speak so many places where we got to be out at a certain time. Custodial staff be there waiting, watching us. Time will go out. We want to be real. We have to support our vendors. So what was going on before was probably one of the most important things that we would do today. Because as I told you earlier, there's very little I'm going to say now that you haven't already known. In fact, you walked in this room knowing everything. The human mind contains all the information that has ever existed, exists now, and will ever exist. I'll give you an example. We turn out all the lights. You can't see anything in front of you. Then all of a sudden you find the light switch. You turn the light on. You see the chairs. You see the clothing. You see the pictures. You see the chairs. My question is, did all those things appear in the room when the light went on? No, they were always there. The light just went on. And that's what consciousness is. It's turning your light on. We're in the system now. Now, if we can get to this, then everything else I'm going to talk about, that we talk about, is going to be clear. That's better too. Now I can hear myself. The fundamental principle of the Board of Education in New York, I would never come to Pittsburgh or to Cleveland or anywhere and assume I know what's going on here. You all know what's going on. I'm from New York. Let me tell you something about New York. And if by chance what I say about New York resonates with you here in Pittsburgh, we can walk together. If not, then I can understand that too. The first thing we all have to come to grips with, I'm speaking on behalf of New York City, the Board of Education in the city of New York is not failing, because their purpose is to miseducate our children. If you can understand that, then everything else we're going to talk about is going to be clear. Let me drop something else on you. If I were them, I would do the same thing. Why am I going to pay an exorbitant amount of money to educate my children in the community where I live, and then I drive in for 2 hours to educate the children of the Bronx, and I'm going to give them a better education than what I'm paying all that money for? If I had faith in my teaching skills, I'd have brought my child with me. Think about what I'm saying so we can make common sense here. And again, please don't believe a word I say, because I'm not here to make you believe me. I'm here to make you think. Simply think. The greatest educators I've ever come in contact with have simply made me think. It's not about making you believe me, because first of all, wisdom and knowledge to bring out of somebody, the greatest wisdom is within you already. It ain't what I'm going to put in you. I can't put nothing in you that wasn't already there. And that's what our education system is trying to do. That is indoctrination. That is control, and it is containment. And one of the most important things that we did is when we did libation in a circle. Because this system here, and I do understand space. See, because back in the day, we'd be underneath the baobab tree. But we're not in the baobab tree, we're in this cave. A wonderful place. But this is what we live in under Western civilization. We have no choice. This is how it rolls. But in this sacred space, African people bring great things. But this way of sitting, this is all Western. Burn a hole in the head of the person in front of you. Don't look around. Don't see each other. Because if you all look around and see each other, and you look at me, you might figure out, I don't know what I'm talking about anyway. So I'm going to keep you controlled and contained. We're going to talk about the who's, the what's, the where's, the when's, the why's of education. There's a reason why we have this system of sitting. This is a Western way of sitting. You don't see this in Africa. You don't see this among Native American peoples. You don't see this amongst Asian people. The early ancient civilizations understood that wisdom is gained within the energy of the circle. Yes, sir. This is just a simple scientific fact. This ain't even spiritual yet. We haven't even got spiritual yet. This is scientific. Who? Who are we talking about when we talk about the education system? My bottom line is, who should we educate? My thing is, this is my choice. I'm not going to speak about anybody else. My choice is, I want to teach our people. Yes, about us. But that's going to come in when we talk about what. But who? Us. Very straightforward. Well, a lot of people turned out here in Pittsburgh too. Yes, sir. This is pleasing to my eye. Yes, sir. Thank you so much for coming out, brothers and sisters. My children think I'm the most, they say, you really random, Daddy. I'm real random. Stuff come out, But as I sit here and I see all of you, I see such power. Do you know if each and every one of you put 10% of your net pay away and spent it with someone that looked like you, do you know we'd be on the way to emancipation and liberation? Right. There's a lot of people in this room. There's a lot of people in this room as I'm looking at you. And this is great power. I can feel your energy. Our children, they need us. See, I love our people unconditionally. I don't care if you're a gangbanger, if you're a pimp, if you're a prostitute, if you have a house or you don't have a house. I love us unconditionally. If you are black and alive in America, I respect you. Yes, sir. I may not agree with your lifestyle, I may not agree, but I take it as my responsibility to do something about it. So before I point fingers at what other people should be doing, I always ask myself, what could I do to make that difference? What role do I play in allowing this to happen? And then I try to alter my behavior. This is how I operate. I believe, brothers and sisters, that we are in the best time of our existence. Oh yeah, I do. And here's why. The fact that we're here today like this, that you could bring a brother from New York to go to Cleveland, to come here. I'm not saying we don't have difficult times, but when in our history have we not had difficult times? But the fact that we could get together here and talk about the solutions, real solutions, because I want to talk to you about real solutions. I want to convince you to forget about charter schools. Charter schools. Forget the charter schools. They are bridges for the privatization of the public school system. See, I've been involved in charter schools when they were called revisions. And the last time I heard the word charter was when the kings of Europe gave charters to the pirates to capture us. That's the last time I heard the word charter. So I have a concern about the word charter schools. Because what they're going to do is this. And they did it to me. Because I formed three. I was the staff developer and curriculum writer for three. What the charter school system is doing is they are going into the community and having us perfect great schools. Real good schools. And in about 8 years, they're going to go into your school, as great as it is, and they're going to find something wrong. And then they're going to take it from you. And in 6 months, it's going to be called Staples Academy.
And it happened here.
Okay, you say no more, it already happened. See, what they're doing now is that, see, they don't know, like Gil Scott-Heron said in Message to the Messenger, they don't know what to tell you, but they know that you do. So they're going to get you those charter schools. You're going to make them wonderful places for education. And then they're going to take them from you. See, because public cannot sell to private. But if public sidesteps in the charter, the state can sell it to private. That's the law. And that's what they're going to do. They're doing it right now. It's not going to work. And it's not going to work because of the nature of European hegemony. European hegemony is a euphemism for white supremacy.
Yes, sir.
White supremacy isn't our problem. The greatest problem to the human family is ignorance. Ignorance gives birth to twins. Fear, false evidence appearing real, and denial. Fear and denial give birth to white supremacy. White supremacy is the grandchild of ignorance and the child of the twins of fear and denial. Who? Our children. Start with the children that are ready. Start with the families that are conscious. I'd like to help them all. Sorry, Erykah Badu, maybe next lifetime. If I have to convince you, there's nothing I can say that will convince you. If I don't need to convince you, let's get it on. I look to our people. I would love to do everything that I possibly can. But if you're not ready right now, maybe the next train. Because this train is pulling out. is pulling out. And I'm on it. And I hope we're on it. We have to come to these understandings, these fundamental principles of what moves forward. Start with what you have in your hand. Start with your families. Start with families that you have contact with. Start there. Because although this is not the representation of African people in Pittsburgh, I like what I see in this room. I've spoken sometime where there's 2 people in the room.
Yes, sir.
And one of them is the next speaker, so you know how many people are talking. I've also spoken in a room of 200 people, and by the end of the presentation, I wish 198 never showed. So I still got my 2 people. I'm not impressed with numbers.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm impressed with commitment. This is not a workshop. This is not a lecture. This is a class. I'm workshopped out. I'm lectured out. For those that need to be introduced to this information, you need workshops. You need lectures. But for those of us who have walked this path through ASCAP, through the First World Alliance of New York, through the United African Movement of Attorney Alton Maddox, we've gone through the workshops. We've gone through the lectures. Interesting. Dr. Charles Finch came to New York and he was speaking. He brought his wife with him. His Hemet Nesut Waret. See, that's what we called our women. Hemet Nesut Waret, which means the deep well of water that we drink from when we are parched by the desert. That's how we felt about our sisters. Think about that. Think about that concept. Because you know when you're in the desert, 110 in the shade, you've been out there a while, the one thing you think of is water. A glass of water. But imagine in your parch, in your thirst, you come upon not just water, not just a glass, not just a well, but a deep well. Imagine how you feel. I got water for life. That's how we felt towards our sisters. That's what we called them. We didn't call them queens. Queen means king's whore. Let's be real. That's a European term. Queen comes from Q-U-E-N, queen. And it means, from the English vernacular, coming from German, it means the king's whore. So I tend not to want to use their words. Hemet Nesut Waret.
Spell.
Well, as we would spell English, H-E-M-E-T. N-E-S-U-T. W-A-R-E-T. And the Pharaoh, the king, was Nesut Biti. This is what we called each other. Sisters weren't in front of us. Sisters weren't behind us. They walked beside us in the principles of Ma'at. Who? Our children. That's who we have to educate this way. Our children. I do not discriminate against other people's children. I don't get caught up in that negativity. I'm too busy in the positivity of our children. See, I ain't got nothing against them. Because I looked out my window, I saw a wolf. I go outside, wolf bite me, then I complain. Because the wolf bit me, but I knew it was a wolf when I saw it out my window. Why didn't I go out prepared? were not prepared. We are not prepared. And it's not that we don't have the capacity to be prepared. We don't understand who we're dealing with. No more than I would expect a wolf to treat me right, I don't expect them to treat me right. Dr. Clark would say, I'm surprised that you're surprised. What do they have to do to convince us? They do not have our best intentions at heart. What do they have to do? This is what they can't figure out. I say, damn. We done chained them up, we beat them, we kill them, we rape them, we torture them, and they still come back. Yeah. How can they do that? There's in the men's room, I'm sure it's in the ladies' room, in the sisters' room, the poem by Dr. Maya Angelou, Still We Rise. Can't you see how great we are? Think about it. See, I'm not trying to, like, feed us this. I just want us to think. You don't have to go back to the Nile Valley to see a classical African civilization. Just go back to the plantation. That was a classical African civilization. Our ancestors in Kamene built pyramids. Our ancestors on the plantation built freedom. Because everybody was involved in it. Except for the 1,000 that Harriet Tubman wished they were slaves. When we get up out of here today, we got to do something.
Yes, sir.
No more talking.
Yes, sir.
I'm through. I don't want to talk about the school we should have. I want to talk about the school we're going to build. And the one that I have on Wednesdays. But we'll talk about it as we go through these questions. This is very possible, brothers and sisters. In my 31 years in the New York City Board of Education, I have acted as if I was the spook who sat by the classroom door. The last 7 years of my career, they gave me hell. But the only problem is they don't understand that I understood the words of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad when he used to say that the black man's heaven is the white man's hell. So what I began to realize, it wasn't that they were giving me hell. It was that I was living my heaven with my children, and that reflected as their hell. Kwame Ture teaches us, the closer you get to your liberation, the closer your oppressor's going to get to you. So the more hell they gave me, the more heaven I realized I was creating for the people. I saw our children. I come to you as, I could write books on what I saw, but I'm so busy trying to get this curriculum in place, I don't have time to stop to write a book about the success. I don't come to you theoretically telling you what this does. I come to you as simply teaching a first grade student about melanin, and they come to me and they say, you know, Brother Coleman, this morning I brushed my teeth and combed my hair. Because I feel better about myself. Young sister come to me, she say, Brother Booker T, my nose is too big. I say, well, can you breathe? Yeah, I can breathe. I said, well, your nose is just right. The Creator don't make mistakes. Your nose is just right. Weeks later, she said, you know, I sort of like my nose now. That's my success. There's no standardized test that's going to let me know I was successful on that. When our children understand the beauty of who they are, the beauty of the size of their lips, the beauty of the width of their nose. And I don't say it in regards to saying that for our brothers and sisters who are lighter complexion, it is any negative on you. I'm not saying that. I'm not going to reverse the hell that they started. I am just saying, however you look, love yourself. That's what I'm saying. It don't make any difference what you look like. You are God having a human experience.
Yes, sir. Yes.
I have the ultimate respect for Christianity. Ultimate respect for all the faith systems. First of all, because I know they're all black, but that's a whole other reason. Our good brother, Dr. Amos Wilson, once told us that the success of an organization is that it is able to meet the people's needs and solve the people's problems. Christianity on the plantation solved our people's problems and met their needs. They heard about this man. Brother only had 12 friends. And even at the end, some of them were shaky. He went into the Garden of Gethsemane. Brother knew this was his last time. I'm speaking metaphorically, please. Because the story is a good story. Because that's what helped our ancestors get to the next day. It's a good story. You can place the metaphor, the analogy within your life to live it. He brings his boys with him. This is my dogs. Brings them. He said, yo, I'm going in here. I want to talk to my father for a little while. Guard, let me know when the Romans are coming. Don't fight them, because they're coming to you in large numbers. Just come in and say, yo, Jesus. Of course we know his name could have been Jesus, but that's a whole other side. Jay didn't even exist, but that's a whole other side. Yo, they say, yo, Jesus, I got your back. Don't worry about it, man. We'll let you know. He goes in there. Brother's scared. The brother is scared. Now, as I tell you this story, I want you to think about our ancestors on the plantation. That's why I'm telling you the story. Scared. Gets down on his knees. Jesus says, yo, Dad, I know what's going to happen tomorrow. The nails ain't going to feel too good in my hands and in my feet. They're going to put that thorn on my head. They're going to start stabbing me. They're going to leave me up there parched. And then they're going to give me vinegar to drink. Dad, you God. You can solve this problem just like that. Hey, yo, can you help your son out? If the cup can pass over my head, can you make it happen? Can you let that pain that I'm going to experience just go away? He breaks up, goes back to his, he's asleep. He said, yo, man, all I ask you, you know, I know you had a big dinner tonight. It's the last supper. And I know you're tired, but this is the last night we're going to be together, brothers. At least you can just think about black people on the plantation now. Listen to the story and listen to our people. You'll understand why I respect Christianity. Because I look at it from a different perspective. I see things a little bit from another type of perspective. Because I feel our people. I know what they're going through. I feel them. I don't know what they're going through, but I feel what they're going through. And so I want to honor some of the means that they can get to the next day. Because for some of us, it's rough, but for some of us, it's rougher. And for others, it's the roughest. They wake up. Okay, Jesus, we got you. Just go in the back. Talk to your dad. We'll be here for you. He goes back. Something comes over him. He says, you know, life is worth living. But death, if that is what I must do, to do what I got to do, thy will be done. I'll follow your lead, Dad. You know what's going down. He hears soldiers. He hears. He looks back, the boys are asleep again. Where the dogs at? You know, after all I've done or tried to do, y'all can't even stay up our last night together. And then out of the crowd of Romans comes his best friend. Comes up and kisses him. Jesus looks, say, Judas, you betrayed me with a kiss. The highest form of showing love is what they showed to destroy. Come on, how many brothers and sisters do we have that are Judases?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
How many on the plantation were the Judases?
Come on now.
Think of our people on the plantation here in this story. And yet this man's crucifixion would separate history, BC to AD. That's how powerful this brother was. And our ancestors were looking at this story. Who should we teach this? Our children. And our people clung to that story. It was their life system. It met their needs and it solved their problems. And it let them get to the next day. And for that, I will always be grateful to Christianity. Because if they weren't able to do that, many of us would not be in this room today.
Yes, sir.
For that, I am grateful. However, Jeremiah Kamara, brother wrote a book, The New Doubting Thomas.
What is it called?
The New Doubting Thomas. We were in Dr. Ray Higgins having a convocation in Detroit a couple years back. And I was scheduled to speak in the evening. Jeremiah Kamara out of Atlanta spoke in the afternoon. The brother said something. And I said, wow, this is powerful. It's really powerful. So we go to the Charles Wright Museum. And I just slide up to the brother. I say, yo, Jeremiah, let me tell you something. What you said today, that was very powerful, brother. And I said, I'll always give you credit whenever I tell the community this. But I need to write this down. Because that was very powerful. And I said, can you tell it to me again? And I started writing down what he said. I want you to remember the story of Christianity, meeting the needs and solving the problems of our people, the role that it played for us on the plantation. But now let me pull you back to June 9th, 2013. And as Jeremiah spoke, I started writing down. He said, a spiritual system that you choose to believe in, that no longer solves your problems and meets your needs, is like carrying the boat on your back after you cross the river.
Whoa.
What was the thing that got you across the river now becomes a burden on you. Wow, that's what I said. Jeremiah Kamara told me to continue to believe in a religious or a spiritual system that no longer meets your needs and solves your problem is equivalent to carrying the boat on your back after you crossed the river. It was what got you across the river, but it became a weight, a burden once you crossed the river. And that's the role of religion in our lives today. We are carrying that boat on our back after it solved our problems and met our needs. Because now we know that the real story of Jesus was the story of African American history. Brothers and sisters, with all the people that come from all over the world to this country for a better way, even those, some from Africa, some from the Caribbean, some. They don't understand that the better way, the better life that they sought coming to America was built on African American people. They fundamentally don't have an understanding of our history. And so some judge what they see, not knowing this history. Some are taught to avoid us when they come to America. That we're not good people. Some are told, don't go to Harlem. Just like they told me, don't go to Trenchtown. European told me, don't go to Trenchtown. I said, thank you. That's the first place I want to go. Whenever Europeans tell you go this way, who? Teach our children. Teach our children. Who? Who should teach our children? They say, who should teach our children? They say, how do you feel about European Americans teaching black children? Are you against it? I say, no, I'm not against it. I just don't want them to. You got sharp math teachers out here who are European American. Sharp science teachers that are out here. I'm not getting into that game with you. It's not that they should not. It's that I don't want them to. We should be teaching our own children. That's what I'm saying. So I'm on a crusade for teachers. Because now that I open my big mouth, everybody say, well, now we're your teachers. So I got to be on the other side encouraging college students and high school students to become teachers. To prepare the future, you got to prepare the past. So we got to get our young people interested in teaching. When we have our staff development sessions, we have to have cadres. Go out to the colleges and find all of the African American. And when I say African American, I'm talking about from Alaska to Tierra del Fuego.
Rainbow.
All of us. You Puerto Rican, you're black. You Dominican, you double black. Jamaican, Haitian, Cuban, you black. Just like it. It might be difficult because of what they've shown Africa to be. But when I teach Introduction to Africa on the college level, I have students of European descent, blonde hair, blue eyes, come to me at the end of the class and say, I'm African. Because I know there are those of us who have different types of perceptions, but my science tells us that there is only one race on the planet. And that race is called the human race. And that human race, because of biological climatology, was born, nurtured, sustained, educated in Africa. And they were born well melanated, very curly hair, wide nose, thick lip. That's the archetype of the human family. Plants were meant to be green. Humans were born to be black.
Right.
That's science. I'm not mad at it. The original people didn't even look like me. But my advantage is I know where I came from. In the bathroom, there's a sign. Know thyself. Know who you are. It makes no difference. You Japanese, you Irish, you Albanian. You're African. No matter how you look at it. And out of this life system, leaving the sun, we began to change our physiology and morphology. The human race goes from melanated to non-melanated. They don't go from black to white. White don't exist. That's an illusion. Each and every one of us is light. Starlight. See, when we get caught up in these words like dark skin and light skin, we create a problem for ourselves. There is no light skin. There's non-melanated skin. There is less melanated skin, but there is no light skin. Because no matter how dark you are dark light. Do you understand what I'm saying? Come on. Book. Edward Bruce Bynum got a book out called Dark Light. We're not earthlings. We're starlings. We are not of the earth. We are of the stars. The Shabaka stone tells us this. A very interesting story. So, who should we teach? Our children. Who should teach them? Us. That's the answer to the first question. Who? When? Yesterday. Yesterday. But you can't teach what you have not become conscious of. And so I don't hold us accountable. I always say, when it comes to something that someone tells me, or that I become aware of, or conscious of, I always say, once it reached me, it can't pass. But if it ain't reached me, I don't know. I'm not conscious of it. So I don't hold people accountable. I hold myself accountable for coming here to Pittsburgh. Because we're talking now. So it's my responsibility. I take it very personally. It's my responsibility. I'm not going to point no fingers at nobody else. I assume full responsibility for what we have to do. I don't blame people of European descent for the condition I find myself in. It's not that I don't know what they did. I know what they did. I know it quite well. But when you give the blame to someone else for the position you find yourself in, you give them the power to take you out. But you also give them the power to keep you in. So it's not that I don't know what happened. And it's not that I'm trying to forgive somebody. Somebody threw you in a pit. You can spend your time in the pit complaining about who threw you in, or you can spend your time climbing out the pit. I'm getting out this pit, brothers and sisters. I don't have time to blame you. And guess what? When I get back up on land where I belong, I ain't going to try to pay you back. Because you knocked me in that pit at one of the most important times of my life. You knocked me into that pit at a time when African people, check it out, Dr. Sheikh Anta Diop's Civilization of Barbarism tells us there are 6 forms of the human family. Australopithecus robustus, Australopithecus gracile, Homo habilis, Homo erectus, Homo sapiens, and Homo sapiens sapiens. But let me tell you something. There was a group of Africans that were developing ways of thinking and living spiritually, mentally, physically, and soulfully that belonged to the 7th group of humans that are called Homo Maximus. And that's where we were when Urugu came. So even when I get back up out this pit, I don't have time to deal with you because I know the sun gonna take care of you. See, when I was young, let me tell you something. I was one angry brother, let me tell you. Man, I wanted to hurt some people. I really did. And I wanted to hurt them in the most inventive ways I could possibly think of. And one day I was in a meditative state and I was praying to the Creator within. And I was saying, you have to somehow make it possible for me to get back at these people for what they did to us. I just want to hurt them. I want to torture them. I want to get inventive. Help me out. Give me some creative ways. All of a sudden, I heard a voice. A voice came through me and said, I'm not getting hocus pocus on you. I'm just speaking experiences that we have sometimes. And that voice said, look, Let me tell you something, son. Get yourself together. You want to get this all good? Get yourself together. And don't you worry about them. Because I am God. And I got a plan for them that even you can't think of. Something's going to come on them, brothers and sisters. I am not saying not to defend yourself. Please understand me. I'm not going there. What I'm saying is take the burden of payback away from you and put it in the hands of someone who knows what payback is.
Teach, brother. Wow.
We have a lot of work we have to do. Every moment we think of them, even in the most negative moments, are times that we don't have to think about us. Find ways to reach out to those sisters. We have to find ways to reach out to the brothers, to assist them in understanding what it is that they have to do as men. Men. Responsibility is 2 words, not one. Responsibility is response to your ability. It's an action-oriented word. It's not a description or a characteristic of it. It's a challenge for you to meet. A nation is only as strong as its weakest link. And we have to get serious about getting serious. And that second serious is spelled S-I-R-I-U-S. We have it, brothers and sisters. This is not an elusive thought. My 30 years in the system, I've watched. What should we teach? We should teach a curriculum that is based in Africa, because although I do know that many brothers and sisters who have African-centered schools, their heart's in the right place. The challenge is that they are teaching African information but superimposing a European paradigm of methodology over African information. So when I hear people say, yo, my school, the grades, them standardized test scores, they go up, I'm not impressed with that. Because that doesn't measure the consciousness of a human being. That only told me that you were able to choose the right answer out of 4. But standardized testing is a multi-billion-dollar business. There's no way you could ever test consciousness. Consciousness is an action-oriented, nation-building process. It is not about the score you get on a test. There's 2 ways. See, I teach children how to take a standardized test. Because that in itself is a skill or a strategy. And real quick, you have a 2nd grader, let's say 4th grader. You want them to do well on a test? Get them a 5th grade vocabulary book. Because every test is a vocabulary test.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Because you see, if you know what the word means, you may not even know what the answer is, but you can answer it because you know what the word means. Every text has 4 answers. 2 are ridiculous. You can throw them out. Then you got 2 more. 1 is close to the answer. 1 is the answer. Go back into the passage. I guarantee you, the right answer you'll find in the passage. Teach our children how to take a test. Standardized test does not measure what you know. Your enemy in the standardized test is not what you know. Your enemy is the time they gave you to know the right answer.
That's right. That's right.
You get a test. They say, you can take this home. You have all weekend to do it. No cheating, no asking people questions, things like that. You have all weekend. There's a very good chance you do pretty good. There's a very good chance you do very good. But if they give you 50 questions and tell you you have 60 minutes, your enemy is not the questions, your enemy is the 60 minutes.
That's right.
You teach time management.
That's right. Yeah.
First thing you do is you teach them, just introduce yourself to the test. Put your pen down, don't touch a thing. And just read every question. Read it. Because there's a very good chance that question 4 could be answered in number 23. The other thing to realize, I am one of the writers of the New York State Social Studies 6th grade test. Remember who I am? I'm the spook who sat by the classroom door. So I'm coming to tell you what I know. When they were briefing us, because we had to go up to Albany in New York to learn how to write, it's called item writers. And when we went to the development to learn how to write this test, they told us, do not frame your question around what you think the student knows. Frame it around what you think they don't know. So that battle, there's a battle going on in the test. So, 50 questions, 60 minutes. Introduce yourself to the test. You spend, let's say 5 minutes. No, let's push it, let's say 10 minutes. You spend 10 minutes looking over all the questions. You come to the realization that you know the answer to 35 questions. You know 35 questions. You spend 10 minutes figuring this out. You came to figure out that there are 10 questions that are extremely difficult. You found out there are 5 questions that are mediocre. The way they write tests is they'll throw in 4 easy questions, hit you with a mediocre question, hit you with a hard, hit you with a mediocre, hit you with some soft, hit you with another mediocre, hit you with hard, hard, mediocre, easy, 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 easy. You see, it's like a boxer. But if you know 35 questions, you put a little mark inside, you go back and you answer all those questions. It took you 5 minutes to do that. It took you 10 minutes to look over the test. It took you 10 minutes to figure out all the questions. It took you 5 minutes to get 35 that you know were right. Okay, that's 25 minutes. And now you only have 15 more questions. You only have 15 more questions, and you have 35 minutes. Time management. You go back and you go to the mediocre questions, the 5 mediocre. You answer those. I'm just going to jump. Out of the 5 mediocre, there were 3 that you answered correctly. So now how many questions do you have right? You have 38. 35 plus 3. You only have 10 questions left. And now you go back and do the hard ones. And out of the 10, go and jump. I'm going to tell you that you get 5 right. How many do you have now? Say again. 43. Okay, 35, 3, and 5. No, 43, 3. How many did I say the hard was? 35, you got it right. 3, that was 38. Plus 5. Okay, 43. Out of 50 questions. And now you got 5 minutes to check your answers and go over the ones that you think you might be able to get right. And let's say you get 2 more right, going back with the extra time. How many do you have now? 45 out of 50. You did a great job, and you got 2 minutes to stare in the face of your teacher and say, yo, I got this. Time management. That's how you pass standardized tests. And the better you get at it, the better your score will be. Because you see, I want to teach this stuff to our children, this standardized test. I want to get this out the way, because now I want to teach you what I came here to talk to you about. Because this standardized test is low level, very, very low level. And this is what becomes very important for us to understand. Because these standardized tests ain't going away no time soon. But we have to understand the methodology of teaching. I could teach European history from an African perspective, and you'd learn a great deal. I could teach you African history from a European perspective, and you'd learn very little. I'd like to demonstrate what I mean. How does this stand?
Somebody need to hold it for him?
No, man, I saw it standing up before. I thought it was Oops. Yeah. Okay, can everybody see this? I know there might be some, but in fact, why don't we just, can we bring it around to the front? Please, brother. I will show you something. Okay. Now, I want to teach you new numbers, new ciphers, new symbols. Don't want you to write them down. Okay? New numbers. Now I'm going to ask you, please. I'd like you to write the number 298. 298 in the new numbers. Oh, that's not fair, right? No, I didn't give you all a chance to check this out. Okay. Please. 298 in the new numbers. For those of us who are photographic memories, no problem. But for me, I have a problem. But let me ask you this. Suppose I had done this. See the 1? See the 2? 3? 4? 5? 6? 6? I gave you numbers like this first, and I gave you the parts. But here, I gave you the whole picture. Which would have been easy to draw the 298 from. Why? I gave you a picture. This is how Africans taught. They taught conceptually. They did not teach in parts. So therefore, when you take a math test, or you take a history test, or you take a biology test, or you take a music test, when I ask you questions as it relates to the disciplines, you've got to go to the part and pull out the answer. But when I teach it to you holistically, you go into the picture and pull out the part. This is African methodology. This is the new outline for educating our children. Because if we stay with this thing here, see this right here? This is a multi-billion-dollar business. This is an algebra book, and this is a language arts book, and this is a history book. Okay, they make big money on this. You wouldn't make big money on this because the method of your imparting information is coming from a conceptual framework and not an actual part. Okay, let me show you something. I don't know what's this paper I was supposed to. But see, I got to just turn it around and use the back. The liberal arts. The concept of art, teaching the arts and sciences. Okay, bless you, brother. You see, we have sciences. And every science is an art. There is an art to science, and there's a science to art. Okay? We have a spiritual science. We have a physical science that answers the questions of the spiritual science. First comes the spiritual science, and then comes writing it down. So as the Kamene teaches us, all things come first as thought. And then you write it down. You don't write something down and then think about it. And then you have the social science that then tells the story of how you codify your spiritual science. Okay? It's an African tradition. However, peoples of European descent and a Western mindset have a problem with the word spirit. So they call spiritual science communication arts. See, remember who I am now. I'm the spook who sat by the classroom door. Because I come back to tell you all some things about what's going on so you can understand this. Because this is not difficult. And this is not hard. The devil doesn't lie. The devil confuses. See, if they lied, you can find the truth. But if they confuse, you must search for the truth. The communication arts include performing arts. And what might be some of the things in the performing arts? What might be some? I'll start with dance.
Theater.
Theater. Okay. Anything else? Music, yeah. Getting hot up. No, that's all right. I like it hot. Gets my melanin working. Performing arts. Dance.
Theater.
Theater.
Poetry.
Poetry. Okay. Anything else?
Graphic art.
Graphic arts, yeah. Okay.
The music in it.
Music in it. There we go. Music, absolutely. Okay. Then you have creative arts. Creative arts. Creative arts would be things like sculpture, arts and crafts, macrame, lanyard. And then you have language arts. This is just not speaking. You have the Yoruba talking drum. You have sign language. You have braille. Things that are communicating our language, that's communicating ideas. Language arts. The physical sciences today are called STEM. Science, technology. E stands for engineering. And mathematics. The social sciences. When I first went to Kamene, I came back, I was teaching my class. I was so excited. showed them slides of Egypt, Kamene. I did classes with them. They were just so excited. And one of the children raised their hand and said, Brother Booker T, the next time we have a class trip, can we go to ancient Egypt? And the reason why that happened was I learned something very important about education. Let me give you another example. You saw Stargate, the one in 1988, the original one?
Yeah.
The beginning of the movie starts in North Africa, 10,000 BC. It cuts to the scene, 1932, Egypt. About 6 minutes, it then cuts into modern day in the Metropolitan Museum. Had you walked in 9 minutes late, you would never have understood that movie. Because those first two scenes grounded you in space and time. What I did not do with my children when I was telling them about Egypt, I did not ground them in space and time. I did not tell them that Egypt was far away. And I didn't tell them that ancient meant long ago. So to them, my enthusiasm and excitement made ancient Egypt look like we can go over there on the next class trip. The first thing we should do, geography, history, politics, economics, and the social or cultural fabric of what you're learning. Once these are the subjects we teach. Now here's what I do. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you. It's what I do with my students. I say to them, I will pay you 1 month of my salary. Understanding esotericism, understanding the spiritual area, I will pay you 1 month of my salary if you can find something that you could teach or learn that's not in one of these subject areas. I'm gonna do it with you. I'll pay you 1 month of my salary if you can think of one thing you could learn or teach that I could not place somewhere in one of these subject areas. Let me tell you something else. I've been doing this for 15 years. I ain't never paid nobody. So you know homie don't play that. However, there's something I want to show you that we have to come to agreement with. But think about it. Anything. Some people say cooking. Science. Cooking. Chemistry. I could fit it. Please, anything. Just throw it out.
I'll be black.
What was that?
Evolution.
Say what?
Evolution.
Evolution is history.
How to be black.
How to be black. That's psychology. Philosophy.
Religion.
History. Religion. Performing arts. Creative arts. And language. Come on, you know who I'm going to play. I ain't giving up my money.
How to be soulful.
How to be soulful. Creative arts. Performing arts. Okay? History. Social. Okay? Science would be psychology. Philosophy. Anything.
Transformation.
Transformation. Transformation, engineering. Technology. Okay, transformation. To move from what? Science, psychology. Neuroanatomy. Spirituality. Performing. Science would be psychology. Okay? When you look at mathematics, has a lot to do with spirituality. Okay? No, brother, you don't have to leave.
Numerology. Numerology.
Numerology. Oh, that's mathematics. Philosophy. Science. Driver's education. Hey, that's good, man. Like that. I never heard that. That's good. Okay. Performing arts. Because you got to perform. Okay, creative, don't hit nothing. Okay? Engineering, as it relates to just setting up the street. Physics, in terms of the dynamics of the car. Science, as it relates to gasoline in the car. Brake fluid.
Survival in the black community.
Survival of the black community. Oh yeah, no, that's history. Know thyself. That's geography. Understand where you need to be. That's okay.
And the reason why I say that is because what we're experiencing today, nobody has ever witnessed from their children before.
Yes.
So there's no history to support that.
Well, I would have to tell you, brother, that we have experiences with our children. We have experienced this every generation as we moved along. The only thing is that situations alter cases and time changes things. But every generation that has come through this ma'afa has experienced this. This happens to be a rather challenging time. But even my generation, the adults are saying, what's wrong with them young people? Marvin Gaye.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? We had even my parents' generation had a song called 60-Minute Man. Okay? Otis Redding, Carla Thomas, Tramp. You ain't no cook. Okay? Yes, I am. Right? So what I'm saying is that, yes, we have our challenges unlike ever before, but the times we're living in is like no other time before. And let me tell you something else while you're at it. I visit other communities too. There's no community worse off than the European community. That's why they shoot each other in these college campuses. Now, we have our challenges. There's no question. We have things we have to do, no question. But just the other day, at Santa Monica, okay, Aurora, Colorado. And guess what they say? It's not supposed to happen here. But don't they know that's what we said in Africa when they came? Yeah. Don't they know that's what the indigenous people said when they came? It's not supposed to happen here. Yes, it is, because you're the original criminals. And if anybody's an illegal alien, it's Europeans. So I do take your question, brother, and I do understand it. But I also know that there are ways that we can teach this. And that those concepts are right here. And when I say history, when I meet with street organizations, commonly called gangs, I'm careful about who I call a gang, because the police department is a gang. The army is a gang. Okay. Well, I don't even see them as Republicans. I see them as Republicans and Democrats. They the gangs. And they got the blue and red. You know, one's an elephant, the other's an ass. So, just for discussion's sake, can we agree that everything that we can learn, somehow or other, outside of the spiritual, esoteric domain, could be explained? What I'd like to do now is I'd like to talk to you about a concept known as, I'm sorry, was there a question, please?
Does language fit into any of those categories?
When you say categories? Yes, my sister, language arts, right here. Yes, language. You see up here? Of the communication arts. You have performing arts, creative arts, language arts.
Okay, I can see.
Yes, please, brother. Please.
Where does marriage and sexuality and like sexual performance fit in on that?
Well, of course you know science. But also history, culture, economics. And by that I mean so many of our young people and people in general who are willing to trade some form of resource, scarcity and demand, supply and demand. It doesn't have to be money. I was in Los Angeles, and they dropped a term on me in Los Angeles I had never heard before. It was called strawberries.
Strawberry?
Strawberries. And strawberries are women who are willing to trade sexual favors for sex. It's not even about money, it's about drugs. I had never heard that before. In fact, one of the rappers did a song about strawberries. And so, I mean, where that comes in the discussion of sex, and you see the other thing, since you brought it up, African folk are not sexual. We are sensual. We are sensual. In fact, now that we're on the subject, I'd like you all, please, all of you have sample oil that my son gave you. Please take that oil out. When you get it. In 1987, I came back from Kamene, and I was just so excited because the Happy River flows from south to north. And I'm so used to saying down south and up north. The Kemites say down north, up south. I found that phenomenal because any river that originates south of the equator flows from south to north. If the river originates north of the equator, it flows north to south. There are examples, and I do believe you have an example here in Pittsburgh. I know you have a St. John's River in Florida that flows the opposite way. But there are exceptions. But for the most part, rivers that originate south of the equator. So I wanted to teach the children I was teaching. I was visiting different first grade classes in our district. We have about 34 schools. And I was director of social studies. And I visited an early childhood school. And I had seen a brother. He was selling oils. Yeah, Blue Nile. I said, wow, okay, brother. You have Blue Nile. Are you on White Nile? He said, yeah, we have White Nile. I don't have it, but I'll tell you where to get it. So I went, I got Blue Nile, and I got White Nile, and I got a special oil, Kush, other oils, special oil that I call Raw. And I went into class, and I began to teach. I had a map up on the wall. And I said, to make it creative, I'll show you. So I took the White Nile, and I poured the water, the oil into the bottle, empty bottle. I said, well, this is the White Nile. And then when we got up to Khartoum, I showed them in Ethiopia, the Atbara River and Lake Tana, where the Blue Nile comes from. Y'all into spirulina? Anybody drink spirulina? Yeah. Well, you know, that originated in Ethiopia. In fact, that's what made the Blue Nile blue. It's a blue-green algae that when it used to flow down out of the mountains, it would hit the white happy or the Nile and push the water to Kamene into the Mediterranean and then pull back. Okay. I taught the class. I was leaving. And the children said to me, Brother Booker T, can we smell it? And I had never made it for them to smell. I was just trying to teach them something. So it kind of knocked me off. So what I did is I put a little bit here. I told them to smell it. You know, take a smell. Wow. What I'd like to ask you all to do, for those of you who are not allergic or would be willing to do it, please put some here and just take a smell. Is that camera still on? I know I'm messing stuff up. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you're okay. You're okay. Do what you have to do.
Okay. I leave. I go back. To my next class that I'm going to teach somewhere else. And then the next week I come. And the young brother finds me in the school, first grade. He said, bless you. Brother Booker T, my mother, she said she wants some of that oil. He said, Brother Booker T, my mother was smelling me all day long. And then when I got up the next morning, she kept smelling me to see if it lasted overnight. She liked that oil, she wants some. I said, well, look, young brother, go home and tell your mama that I don't make oil. And I was just doing that to teach a class. I said, okay, I'll do it, but my mother wants that oil. And so I go teach my second class in the same school. This time I give everybody a little smell because I know they're going to ask. Because I learned from my students. And I leave. I come back the third week, mother is in the school. And a friend of hers, who was a mother of a child in the second class I went to, she there too. And she said, brother, I want some of that oil. I said, well, sister, you know, like I don't make oil. I was just tea. She said, brother, my son told me. I want some of that oil. Listen, brothers, sisters will know what I'm saying, but brothers, you know when a sister's talking to you, she go like this. Okay? That means obedience. Okay, sis. She gave me $10. Long story short, I always use this story to speak about how blessings can come from the ancestors and the Creator when you least expect it. See, I still is all over the place now. But originally, it was only meant to teach the children about the Happy River. But they gave me a gift. This is also a commercial because I sell large bottles. I also just want to tell you this, that right now, I'm talking about our children and learning. When we teach our children, when we teach anybody, in the limbic system of your brain, you have the R complex, the reptilian brain, you have the limbic brain, you have the neocortex. The limbic brain is responsible for feelings. In the limbic brain, there are two important places to be aware of as it relates to education. One of them is a small almond shape in the front. It's called your amygdala. A-M-Y-G-D-A-L-A. A-M-Y-G-D-A-L-A. It is the house of your emotions. For every facial expression you have, it emanates out of your amygdala. Surprise, happy, sad, fear. Fear in a teaching process. When you teach children through fear, look, if you don't get this, you're going to fail the test. You're going to go to summer school. You know your mama's planning on going to North Carolina this summer. If you fail, she's going to beat you because she's going to go to summer school. You're teaching through fear. I call it teaching to the amygdala. When you teach through fear, the information that is being received is locked in the amygdala as if it were a prison. And so when a child does sit down and take a test to retrieve the information, it's like trying to break out of prison. And the more you try to break out of prison and can't, the more test anxiety you feel. You see? There's another part of the limbic system. It's called your ventricular system. You have 4 ventricles. You have 2 lateral ventricles that join to become your 3rd ventricle, that become your 4th ventricle. It's almost like the wings of a bird. The 3rd ventricle is the body of the bird, and the tail is the 4th ventricle. In your 3rd ventricle, is where all of this important information is stored. That's called, by Dr. Richard King, your vault of initiation. But in your lateral ventricles, on the floor of your lateral ventricles, you have something called the hippocampus. 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 That area of the brain is responsible for long-term memory. I'm teaching math. I can see Kwame's knitting his brow. I say, Kwame, don't worry about it. You know, like that. You know, we're just gonna go through it again. You know, you can do it, man. It's just a matter of figuring out where can we. Suppose I show it to you this way. How is it like that? Oh, Kwame, it's a little bit better. Okay, keep going. Well, tell me how would you be able to understand? This is what I'm trying to do in this math problem. How would you figure it out? Kwame is moving through concepts. I'm making him think, okay? But what I'm doing is I'm teaching to his hippocampus. Because I'm teaching to his long-term memory. He's not afraid. He just got to think. Thinking is good. Fear is not. Thinking is good. I want you to figure it out. That's part of what's making that brain exercise. So I want that to happen, but I don't want it to be through fear. I want it to be through excitement, through passion. Okay? In your senses, you really do have far more than 5. Because for every physical sense, you have a spiritual sense and a mental sense. Okay? Mama say, yo boy, you hear what I'm saying? She ain't talking about this ear. She's talking about your spiritual ear. Grandma said, you know, you see what I'm talking about? You hear what I'm talking about? You can't touch this. You see, you can't touch this. And I ain't trying to touch you. But you can't touch this means something else. It's a spiritual touch. You hear young people say, yo, I feel you, man. I feel you. Right now, you are observing me. You are observing each other. You are creating visual memories. You might be in a situation long from now. You might look and see a picture that look like that. You will transport yourself back to this day in this room through your visual memory of that picture. You hear what's going on. You hear the talking. You are creating auditory, phonetic memories of sounds. You might hear somebody say something that has nothing to do with what anybody has said in this room, but something about what they said will take you back into this room June 9th, 2013. So now you've created visual memory and you now have auditory memory. When I asked you to put that oil and smell it, you see me, you hear me, now you smell me. That scent went to your olfactory bulb, created a memory in your lateral ventricles. You might be somewhere totally different, and a smell may come through you. It will not be Hoppy and Kush, but that smell will remind you of me this day. And so my purpose for sharing this with you, because I want you to see me, I want you to hear me, and I want you to smell me. Because we are sensual people. Just like Brother said, don't send no memos to the black community. We don't operate through memos. We operate through the grapevine. When I used to have important things from my parents, I always knew there were, out of 30 children, give or take, I always knew there were 4 parents I had to tell. They would tell everybody else. So, what we have to begin to do is to begin to address the needs of our community. Don't send no memos out. Okay? What you gotta do is you gotta call them up, because Edwin Nichols creates an axiology of African people. He says that Asian people are based, as it relates to axiology, the relationship of them to the cosmos is from the individual to the community. They operate from person to community, to group. Europeans act from person to material wealth, or material, the object. African people operate person to person, because they realize that person to person creates the community that creates the material endeavor. But the first is person to person. That is why, as an educator, as I think you've noticed, and what I try to do is I try to make serious eye contact with everybody to let you all know, oh yeah, I'm talking to you. That's how our people. That's why when I walked out in the beginning and I said, I may not be able to do this because it's being filmed, but I wanted to catch you all's energy. That's why I did what I did. Because you created a memory. I don't have to do that again. But I have to do it at least once for you to get a sense of me next to you. That's how we operate. That's the African methodology. And that's what's missing in our community. That's what's missing with our relationship with our children. You want to do something? Here's number one. Next time you see that young brother out there, or that young sister, just say hi. How you doing? Don't have to spend no long time with them, because I don't want to talk too long. But just greet them, acknowledge them, respect them. Respect means to see, means again. Respect means to look again. Hey, how you doing today? Hey, what's going on? It's an African. Because I get on the elevator, I say, good morning. Now I have a choice. Next morning I get on the elevator. Good morning. Next morning I get on. Good morning. Next time, good morning. Next time I get on the elevator, they tell me, good morning. Because somebody's going to be mature enough not to let that isolation. Dr. Ivan Van Sertima told us that the worst thing that the human condition can experience is feelings of alienation.
Yes. Yes.
And what our young people feel out there is alienation.
Yes.
But the gangs are their families.
Yes.
The street organizations meet their needs and solve their problems. So why shouldn't they be in gangs? We ain't doing it for them.
Talk, bro.
Why shouldn't they?
Yes.
But if you just speak to them, just say hello. And if the relationship should grow, the conversation can expand. But if you just speak, and I'm not saying to put yourself in harm's way, because I know there's another thing that can happen when you extend yourself that way. So I'm not saying to put yourself in harm's way, but I'm saying that as a community, we have to become again Africans. And that is to greet each other. Down south, Caribbean, Africa, upstate New York, people hump their horns. Hey, I was a young man, my dad used to be there talking to this man. My father from Alabama, Tuskegee, Booker T. I look, and I'm there looking at my father. He just talking to this man, talking to this man. And as they break up to go away, my father said, oh, by the way, what's your name? And I said, well, did you know him? No, I just met him. But my father could carry on a conversation with somebody like they knew him from the years ago. And that's how we are as a people. Don't let Pittsburgh steal your consciousness. Because I'm doing everything I can not to let New York yoke me. We have to go beyond that and continue the African traditions with our people. Here's the second thing you can do. best is yet to come. But we're going to take a break.
Okay.
I want you all to spend money with the vendors. And I know some of us came with limited amounts. And I understand. But what I'm saying is as we leave here today, we need to promise ourselves that we're going to put 10% of our net away. If we can give 10% to the church, we can give 10% to our vendors. Because they are our small black businesses. They are our future black Wall Streets in Boozley. Support them. Because that's what's going to make this lively. If vendors know that this center can generate funds, they will want to be here more often, which will bring more money to this center, which will make this center stronger. If the center becomes stronger, they can invite other speakers to come and to engage with us. If other speakers come, vendors make money, you can keep doing it. This place, when we come back, I'm going to tell you how this place can become our school. Spend your money with vendors.